Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Check the post for Husker Nation. Brought to you by Nebraska Spine Hospital. Is it still 2020? Oh my God, it's like the year that will never end. All right. Can we just get to football season? Hopefully we have one. All right. So, very recently, Scott Frost was asked some questions about his starting quarterback from the past couple of seasons, Adrian Martinez, and he had some interesting things to say, and I just wanted to give my 5 quick reactions to those. Now, you probably heard what he had to say, but if you didn't, here are some of the quotes that he had. All right. And I quote, "Year 2, referring to Adrian here, because of the situation, I think he was able to put it in cruise control a little more, and I think it showed up on the field a little bit. That's not to put everything on him. There's a lot he couldn't control. But I don't think he'll be lax in his preparation ever again," end quote. Now, Frost also mentioned Adrian playing with an injury. We know he had an undisclosed surgery at the end of the season, and the Huskers need to get better around Martinez as well. He talked about Adrian having to earn the job as a true freshman, the starting quarterback job, not having quite as much competition as a sophomore. No slight to any quarterback that was in that quarterback room a year ago. But how Luke McCaffrey could push Adrian for the job this year. Also, Logan Smothers and some of the folks in that room could surprise us as well. Frost also did say, and I quote, "Adrian's prepped and primed to have a good season," end quote. Now here are my 5 quick reactions. My first reaction was this. I wasn't exactly shocked to hear this. You never know what's going on in someone's mind, in their head. You never know what's going on in someone's life. I certainly didn't know what was going on in Adrian's life or what's going on upstairs, but you could see something was different mentally. I think people forget the football players were not just names and faces on a video game that you can trade, delete, whatever the case may be. I understand there's no more college football video games, but there's still Madden, so on and so forth. You get my point. They're actual human beings. What goes on outside the field can affect on the field sometimes. What goes on upstairs has a huge impact on the field. You could just see something was going on upstairs with Adrian. Nobody really knew what. But when I heard this, it didn't exactly shock me. Lack of competition can sometimes lead to a lack of motivation, which obviously is going to affect your play on the field. Number 2, this is a perfect example of why we need a legit quarterback competition and battle, all right, going into this season between Adrian, between Luke McCaffrey, Logan Smothers. We need a legit quarterback battle, not just at the quarterback position, but every position. Some people are more self-motivated than others. Some people can do a really, really good job of self-motivating themselves, but it's really, really hard, okay, no matter how motivated you are as an individual, to reach your absolute peak and absolute potential if nobody's pushing you. That's why when you go to the gym, they say you should always have a partner. Work out together, push each other, make each other better. I can literally think of one person in history who successfully self-motivated themselves to the absolute top, and I'll address that individual at the end of this show. That's why we need a legit quarterback battle and a legit battle across the board as the Huskers get ready for a football season that we're hopefully going to have. My third takeaway, two-way street. All right, a two-way street. Now, last year, all right, Scott Frost talked about Martinez potentially being the greatest quarterback ever at Nebraska. All right, here's what he had to say, and I quote, "My hope is that when he leaves Nebraska, he's thought of as one of the all-time greats at the position. In fact, I hope he's thought of as the greatest to ever play at Nebraska at that position," end quote. Now, I loved the belief that Frost has in Martinez. I thought it was awesome. But I did think one of 3 things could come out of that quote, because that quote got a lot of traction, all right? I thought it could either motivate Adrian to live up to that hype. All right. I thought it could put extra pressure on him. And keep in mind, he was a true sophomore last year. He's a very young man. He could have reacted to that in all sorts of different ways. I also thought it could potentially de-incentivize him, like he had already kind of arrived to a certain extent. Now, this year, things are obviously different, and the statements this offseason are obviously a little bit different based on what happened a year ago. I have no problem with the coach saying things and calling people out. Sometimes I think it's better to do it privately, whether it's in a full team meeting, a position meeting, one-on-one, whatever the case may be. You know, one guy's takeaway from Frost's comments recently about Adrian was that he thinks it puts a lot of pressure on Adrian. That's one guy's takeaway. He's entitled to his takeaway. Here's mine. I come back to two-way street. All right, I have no problem with the coach who wants to, and a lot of times he's just answering questions, Frost is, about his players, but sometimes he volunteers stuff, you know, whether it be after a game or whatever the case may be. I have no problem with the coach speaking publicly about Martinez or other players on the team now, off season, after games, whatever the case may be. If I'm a player sitting in that meeting room and I'm seeing these things, I got no problem with it as long as that coach holds himself to the same standard or higher publicly. It's got to go both ways. So in other words, if it's a two-way street, I'm completely cool with it. If I'm a player on that team, that's all I'm looking for. All right, now my next takeaway is I still get the feeling that this is Martinez's job to lose. That's just the feeling I get. I do think he's going to be pushed, but I get the feeling it is Adrian Martinez's quarterback starting job to lose at this point. Now, my last quick takeaway is this is why Michael Jordan did what he did. Okay, I referenced only one guy that I know of in history who self-motivated himself to the top. Michael Jordan, if you watch The Last Dance, he took every little thing. You want to talk about taking a mole into a mountain. He took a molehill into a freaking Mount Everest. He was trying to catch Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. When those two retired, he was the guy on top and really nobody was close. I mean, there were other Hall of Famers and whatnot, but he was the guy on top. The way he pushed himself to be the greatest of all time was he would take the littlest thing and he would make it a big thing, and that motivated him. Sometimes he would conjugate crap out of thin air, and it would become real to him, and that's what would motivate him. To me, that's what made Michael Jordan the greatest of all time. He was an absurd athlete, no doubt about that. I could argue other guys are potentially more athletic, but he's the greatest of all time because he self-motivated himself, and it's why he did what he did, which pushed him to the heights that he went to. All right, let me know your thoughts at home. I don't call this the People Show. It's just some sort of catchy tagline or marketing line. I don't got time for that BS. I really want to hear from you at home. Let me know your thoughts. Hit me up on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, Husker Nation, go big red and always remember to throw the bones. Thanks again to our sponsor, Nebraska Spine Hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, when it's your spine, you do not want to mess around, and experience matters. That's why you can trust the experts at Nebraska Spine Hospital, the region's only spine-specific hospital. They are the best at what they do.